single twist and turn of this unprecedented story, do me a favor. Hit that like button right now. It tells YouTube you want more content like this. And if you haven't already, subscribe to Sister Wives Crew and ring that notification bell. You are not going to want to miss a single update. Trust me. Now let's get into it to understand the gravity of this alleged lawsuit. We have to go back not just to the mission statement, but to the final agonizing implosion of the Brown family that played out on our screens. We all watched Christine pack her boxes, a triumphant smile on her face as she finally chose herself. We witnessed to Janelle, the stoic and steady rock of the family, finally reach her breaking point, declaring "I'm done" in a fiery confrontation. And we saw Meri, loyal to a fault for over a decade, finally forced to admit that the man she had married was no longer her husband in any sense of the word. On the surface, these were individual departures, separate women reaching separate conclusions at 3 different times. That's the story TLC sold us. That's the story Kody and Robyn are still trying to sell. The narrative of the bitter, jealous, disloyal wives who couldn't handle the big picture and abandoned the family they vowed to uphold. But behind the scenes, a different story was taking shape. Our sources report that as the public separations unfolded, a quiet and unprecedented communication line opened up, not between the wives and Kody, but between the wives themselves, Christine, Janelle and Meri. For years, they had been competitors, sister wives navigating a complex and often painful emotional landscape. They were pitted against each other for resources, for time, for affection, for a sliver of Kody's attention. But with Kody and his legal wife Robyn, now isolated in their $1 million mansion, the 3 original wives found themselves in a new and unexpected reality. They weren't sister wives anymore. They were survivors. The initial calls, we're told, were tentative. Christine, already settled and thriving in Utah, allegedly reached out to Janelle first. It was a wellness check, a simple "how are you holding up?" But the conversation quickly deepened. Janelle, ever the pragmatist, was staring down the barrel of a terrifying financial future. She had poured every penny she ever earned into the family pot, a nebulous concept that she was beginning to realize had no legal standing. Her name wasn't on the Coyote Pass property deeds in a way that protected her investment. Her fifth-wheel trailer was her only true asset, a stark symbol of her precarious position after years of financial contribution. Then came the call to Meri. This, according to our insider, was the most difficult one. The wounds between Meri and the other wives, particularly Janelle, ran deep. But Christine, emboldened by her newfound freedom, allegedly brokered the peace. The conversation wasn't about rehashing old hurts. It was about a shared present-day injustice. Meri, too, had invested a lifetime. She had been the first wife, the one who helped build the family from the ground up. She had funneled the profits from her bed and breakfast and her successful LuLaRoe business into family accounts, trusting in the system of what's mine is ours. Yet she, too, was on the outside emotionally and, as they were all beginning to fear, financially abandoned. They shared their stories, the small slights and the grand betrayals. They compared notes on conversations with Kody, his deflections, his gaslighting, his constant refrain of "what did I do?" They talked about Robyn, the subtle manipulations, the control over Kody's schedule, the way family resources always seemed to flow in one direction. Towards the big house on the hill, and as they talked, a horrifying picture began to emerge. This wasn't just a series of emotional divorces. They were beginning to suspect it was a long con, a systematic multi-year transfer of wealth, assets, and power from the collective to a single legally protected unit. Kody and Robyn Brown. The pain was real. The anger was palpable. But from that anger a new feeling began to grow. Resolve. They realized they were not 3 separate victims of a failed marriage. They were 3 partners in a dissolved business who were being systematically squeezed out of their rightful share. And they decided, in a secret pact that would form the foundation of this legal war, that they would not go down without a fight. The storm wasn't just coming. It had been brewing for a decade. And now, for the first time, Christine, Janelle, and Meri were about to turn and face it together. A secret alliance is one thing. A winning legal strategy is another. The OG wives knew they couldn't walk into a courtroom with just their feelings and anecdotes from the show. The family's finances were a tangled, convoluted mess. Intentionally so, they suspected Kody's name was on everything. Robyn's name was on the most valuable assets. Their names? They were mostly on memories and broken promises. Christine, having already gone through the process of extricating herself, had legal counsel. But this was a different beast. This wasn't about one wife leaving. This was about dismantling the entire financial structure of the Brown family. Our sources claim that Janelle, using her characteristically level head, took the lead on finding the right legal team. She wasn't looking for a standard divorce attorney. She was looking for a shark. A financial litigation specialist who could see past the chaotic family drama and identify the cold, hard numbers. Their search allegedly led them to a prestigious law firm in Scottsdale, Arizona, a state with complex community property laws. And at the head of the firm was a lawyer we'll call Eleanor Vance. Vance, according to our legal analysts who have followed her career, is a legend in high-asset dissolution cases. She's known for her meticulous preparation, her razor-sharp courtroom presence, and her uncanny ability to find leverage where none seems to exist. The first meeting, as described by a source close to the legal proceedings, was a marathon session. For hours, Christine, Janelle, and Meri laid out years of their lives. They talked about the family pot, how all their earnings went into a single account from which Kody, as the patriarch, would distribute funds. They described the move to Vegas, where they bought houses in a cul-de-sac, and the subsequent move to Flagstaff, where the dream of building homes on Coyote Pass died while Kody and Robyn moved into a sprawling estate. They brought what evidence they had: old bank statements, tax returns they had managed to copy, and most importantly, hours and hours of footage from their own television show. Vance and her team listened patiently. They saw the emotional pain, but they were looking for something else, a legal hook. The problem was stark. Christine and Janelle were only ever spiritual wives. Meri was legally divorced from Kody. In the eyes of the law, they were, at best, long-term tenants, or at worst, legal strangers. Kody's defense would be simple. They were never my legal wives. I had no legal obligation to them. They were free to leave at any time. It seemed like an open and shut case, heavily stacked in Kody and Robyn's favor. But then something happened. A junior associate on Vance's team, tasked with reviewing the mountain of show footage, stumbled upon something. It was the episode from season, a family mission statement. He flagged it as a curiosity, a moment of family bonding. But when Eleanor Vance saw it, a light allegedly went on. She watched the clip over and over. She saw Kody, the proud patriarch, directing the creation of this document. She saw all the adults, Kody, Meri, Janelle, Christine, and Robyn, solemnly sign their names at the bottom. She saw the words they chose. We are a team. We are a family that communicates. We are a family that is united. We value the individual. To a normal person, it was a family art project. To a brilliant legal mind like Vance, it was the Rosetta Stone. This, she allegedly declared to her team, is not a poster. It's an operating agreement. This was the masterstroke, the novel legal argument that would become the entire foundation of their case. The wives weren't suing for alimony or divorce settlements. They were suing for breach of contract and the fraudulent dissolution of a business partnership. The argument, as explained to us by our legal analysts, is as radical as it is brilliant. It goes like this. For decades, the Brown family did not operate as a traditional family. They operated as an unincorporated partnership. The partners Kody Brown, Meri Barber, Janelle Shriver, Christine Allred, and Robyn Sullivan. The business. Their business was the Brown family, a brand they monetized through their TLC reality show, book deals, and other public appearances. The capital contributions. The wives contributed their entire working lives and salaries to the central family pot. They also contributed non-monetary value, their stories, their children, their emotional labor, which were the very products sold to TLC. The profit-sharing agreement. The implicit understanding, stated over and over on the show, was that all resources were for the benefit of the entire family. Everyone contributes to the pot, and the pot provides for everyone. This implied partnership was strong on its own, based on their financial commingling, but it was circumstantial. Kody could argue it was just a loose, informal family arrangement, but the mission statement changed everything. Eleanor Vance's argument, we are told, was that the mission statement was the moment this implied partnership was memorialized. It was a written document signed by all principal partners, outlining the core values and operating principles of their joint venture. It was, for all intents and purposes, a contract. Words like "we are a team" and "we are united" weren't just fluffy sentiments, they were contractual terms outlining the fiduciary duty each partner owed to the others. The phrase "we value the individual" was a clause guaranteeing that no single partner's interests would be subsumed to the detriment of the others without fair consideration. And the very act of signing it was an acknowledgement by all parties of this shared understanding. Suddenly, every action Kody and Robyn took in the subsequent years could be viewed through a new lens. It wasn't just a husband favoring a new wife, it was the managing partners of a business. Kody and his legal co-signer, Robyn, systematically breaching their fiduciary duty to the other partners. They were allegedly embezzling partnership funds, secretly diverting assets, and acting in bad faith to squeeze out their partners and consolidate all the partnership's assets for themselves. The case was no longer about a messy, polygamous divorce. It was about partnership fraud, and the key piece of evidence was Kody Brown's own creation, the family mission statement. The contract they all thought was forgotten. With their revolutionary legal strategy in place, Eleanor Vance and her team worked in secret for months. They assembled a mountain of evidence, cross-referencing years of financial records with scenes from the television show. Every family vacation, every home purchase, every discussion about money was now potential evidence of this long-standing partnership agreement. The official filing, according to court dockets our sources have allegedly seen, was not a simple divorce petition. It was a multi-count civil lawsuit filed in the Superior Court of Arizona in Coconino County. The plaintiffs Christine Allred, Janelle Shriver, and Meri Brown. The defendants Kody Brown, Robyn Brown, and crucially, their jointly owned LLC Dabsark Entertainment. Naming Dabsark was a critical move. Dabsark, as many viewers know, is an acronym for Dayton, Aurora, Brianna, Solomon, Ariella, and Robyn's initials, plus Kody. It was the corporate entity Kody and Robyn had set up, allegedly to manage their show income. Vance's team would argue that this was the primary vehicle used to divert funds that rightfully belonged to the entire family partnership. The lawsuit, we are told, laid out a devastating timeline. It detailed the initial pooling of resources in Lehi, Utah. It documented the shared financial sacrifices made during the move to Las Vegas, and then it pinpointed the move to Flagstaff as the beginning of the end, or more accurately, the beginning of the alleged fraud. The complaint detailed how the proceeds from the 4 Las Vegas homes, money that should have been equally divided or held in trust for the Coyote Pass build, were instead disproportionately used to secure the massive home for Kody and Robyn. It alleged that while Janelle was living in an RV and Christine was in a rental, Kody and Robyn were living a life of luxury funded by the partnership's collective assets. The core of the complaint rested on several explosive counts: breach of implied partnership agreement. This was the main charge, citing the family mission statement as written proof of the partnership's terms. It argued that Kody and Robyn breached their duty of loyalty and care to their partners, fraudulent misrepresentation. The suit alleged that Kody and Robyn repeatedly assured the other wives that their investments were safe and that the Coyote Pass project was the ultimate goal, all while having no intention of following through and actively consolidating assets for themselves. Unjust enrichment. This count argued that Kody and Robyn had been unjustly enriched at the expense of the other 3 partners, using their labor and capital to acquire assets that they alone controlled. Demand for accounting and dissolution. The suit demanded a full forensic accounting of every dollar that ever went into the family pot and every dollar that came out. And it demanded the formal legal dissolution of the family partnership with a fair and equitable distribution of all assets, including the Coyote Pass land and a share of the value of Kody and Robyn's home. Punitive damages. Citing years of emotional distress, bad faith, and intentional deceit, the suit asked for significant punitive damages to be awarded to the three plaintiffs. The day the lawsuit was served was, by all accounts, a day of reckoning. A process server allegedly arrived at the sprawling Flagstaff mansion. Our sources paint a picture of utter chaos. Kody was reportedly served first, his face turning from confusion to pure rage as he scanned the documents. He couldn't comprehend what was happening. In his mind, he was the victim. He was the one who had been abandoned. Robyn's reaction, we're told, was one of tearful panic. She saw her name, her children's names in the DAB-SARC acronym, all listed in a cold legal document accusing them of fraud. The protective bubble she had carefully constructed around her tender-aged children and her marriage had been violently burst. The news of the lawsuit sent a shockwave through the small world of plural marriage and the much larger world of reality television. It was an unprecedented move. Disgruntled sister wives had left before, but none had ever dared to legally challenge the very financial and structural foundation of a polygamous family. Kody and Robyn immediately went on the defensive. Their first calls were, of course, to TLC's legal department, who were likely horrified by the development. Their carefully managed reality show was now an evidence locker in a major civil suit. Their next call was to hire a lawyer. Their choice of legal counsel, we are told, was a stark contrast to the calculated choice of the wives. They hired a brash, aggressive Flagstaff attorney known more for his bluster than his legal finesse. His initial public statement, leaked to a local news outlet, was pure Kody speak. This is a frivolous and vindictive lawsuit filed by disgruntled exes who are looking for a payday. Kody Brown has been more than generous to these women over the years. And we look forward to clearing his good name in court. But behind the bravado, panic was setting in. The lawsuit wasn't just about money, it was about discovery. The wives' legal team now had the power of subpoena. They could demand every bank statement, every email, every text message, every secret LLC filing. There would be nowhere left for Kody and Robyn to hide. The carefully constructed facade of the Brown family patriarch and his loyal, favored wife was about to be ripped away, and they both knew it. The shockwave had hit and the tsunami was on its way. In any high-stakes lawsuit, the most brutal battles are often fought not in the courtroom, but in the discovery phase. This is the period where both sides are legally required to hand over all relevant documents and evidence to the other.